Well, Nigel Farage joins me now. Nigel, we might not have expected this, but the past few days, I reckon, it may have actually strengthened the institution of the monarchy in Great Britain.
Well, deeper than that, Dan, actually, what's happened in the last few days is, for the first time in most of our lives, we've begun to understand what a constitutional monarchy actually is. We haven't seen these events, these ceremonies, in 70 years. And I think many of us now realise the wisdom of not slimming down the royal family to sort of just riding around the place on bicycles, as many of the Scandinavian-style monarchs seem to do. We're learning the importance of it. We're understanding that things like lying in state, all of it, involves the public too. It isn't just all pomp and circumstance. There is a big public element involved in this. And I've got to say, honestly, that over the years, Charles and I haven't always seen eye to eye. We've had one or two face-to-face conversations, Dan, that I'm not going to repeat at this moment in time, over which we have disagreed on things. But he has been brilliant. Brilliant. I mean, you can see the distress that he's under. He's an emotional man. He wears his heart on his sleeve. But I mean, look, just think about today. He starts off in Scotland. He goes to Northern Ireland, where even one word, forget the pen for goodness sake, but even one word out of place would lead to all sorts of protest and difficulty. He then comes back, and there he is at Buckingham Palace, at the head of the royal family, receiving his mother's body back through those gates of Buckingham Palace for the last time. The hours he's worked, the effort he's putting in, the dignity that he's showing, but there's also a great humanity about the way he's doing this. Every one of us who's even got a little bit of a heart can see he is distressed, he is upset, but he's going about this, he's carrying out his duty in full public glare. Can anyone watching this programme or listening to it right now say that they would be equal to that?
No, I know. I completely agree, Nigel. And look, the point is, I think how we feel about King Charles this week is how the majority of the public feel, as that YouGov polling shows. There has been a complete turnaround. And perhaps, Nigel, it was just that we needed to see King Charles in the job. We needed to hear him set out his stall in terms of what he planned to do as king. And of course, for us, it was very important that he made that vow that he would not be a campaigning king. In his speech, he will be apolitical. And then I think, Nigel, it's the humanity, isn't it? It's the fact that he wants to be a king up close and personal with his subjects.
Yes, it'll be a different style to Elizabeth. She comes from a different generation. That generation were much more buttoned up, perhaps, than, Charles will be, or you or I would be. Not that we ever will be. But, what I've seen, I was in Green Park today. I was outside Buckingham Palace this morning. And I've really felt there is a warmth and admiration for Charles, the way he's handled it. And above all, Dan, what's really struck home is that King's speech, that first speech to the nation. People could see that he was fighting back tears, and yet he pledged himself for the rest of the time that God gave him to do his duty and to try to live up to the expectations that his mother would have had. And that was so real. It was so human. I'm much more optimistic about the future of the monarchy than I've been before. And I think the Brits now realise that what was created back in 1688, following the Civil War, following the Glorious Revolution, our way, our system, the monarch in Parliament, and we saw it writ large yesterday when he walked into Westminster Hall, the assembled houses of the Lords and the Commons. Dan, for me, without being political, but for me, that was everything I spent 25 years fighting for. Our way, our system, our unique form of government, a constitutional monarchy that, frankly, is the envy of the world. And you are there right now, outside Buckingham Palace. You're surrounded by the world's media, and they're looking on at what is happening in awe and actually even with a touch of jealousy.
Very true, absolutely. Nigel, it's of course a very emotional night here at Buckingham Palace. Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II has returned home. How do you think London is going to react tomorrow when there is the procession of the coffin down to Westminster Hall, her family expected to march behind? These are going to be incredible scenes, aren't they?
Yes, I mean, I've been 4 times to Buckingham Palace since the sad announcement at 6:30 last Thursday. What I've been struck by with every visit, despite the enormity of the crowds and the long staking queues wishing to pay their floral tributes, I've been struck with the silence. As the coffin in the hearse approached tonight, there was applause and a bit of cheering. I was surprised by that, but I think it was emotional relief, frankly, of people feeling, actually quite down, and the rain was coming and all the rest of it. Tomorrow at 2:22, that's the time that the gun carriage will leave the front gate of Buckingham Palace to make its way to Westminster Hall, and behind that will be the Queen's 4 children and other members of the royal family. And I think, as it makes its procession up the Mall, over Horse Guards, down Whitehall, and into that amazing 900-year hall at Westminster, I think tomorrow will be one of the most emotional days of this whole journey. There'll be no clapping, there'll be no cheering, and I doubt there'll be a dry eye in the house.
Nigel, we are a bit shell-shocked as a country right now, aren't we? I mean, how do you feel that it was only 7 days ago when Her Majesty the Queen, or the late Her Majesty the Queen, welcomed our new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, to Balmoral. Truss returned to Downing Street. She gave her first address on the steps of Number 10. It feels like a different world, doesn't it? So much has happened in just 7 days.
Yes, or indeed 3 months ago, when it was the Platinum Jubilee. When I was there on the GBNews stand, when she came out in that bright green outfit onto the balcony for the last ever time, her first time, of course, being VE Day. I mean, can you even believe I'm saying that? And the RAF planes came over, they marked 70 in the sky. But it was funny, even at the Platinum Jubilee, and there I was watching that as you showed this picture, so delighted to see her. But we all knew it was never going to happen again. We all knew, even though we tried to convince ourselves that she was immortal, we all knew we'd never see that scene again. And I'm so pleased that I was there on that day. Tomorrow is going to be, obviously the funeral will be the biggest thing that's probably ever happened in this country. But I think tomorrow is going to be the most somber moment of all of this. I really, really do.
I know, it's going to be hard. It is going to be hard. It has been one hell of a week.